Good afternoon. My name is Dirk Schuma from Opengear. I'm here with my colleague Klaus Gretencord. And we're going to talk a little bit about Opengear. I don't know who knows Opengear. I know there are some folks who know what we do and are just interested in what's new, but I'm sure there are a lot of people who don't know about Opengear, so we'll jump in, we'll explain who Opengear is, what we do, and what are the advantages for the customers if they use our stuff. And without any further ado, if there are questions, please keep them until the end. Okay, so who's Opengear? We are an American company, founded 20 years ago. Relatively small vendor, 170 people globally, but half of them are engineers, so we are very technical driven, and listen to our customers in terms of what features and functions should we put into the next product lines. Before we go into details, we like to put this up because then we're all on the same page. Opengear is about out-of-band management, and how do we define out-of-band management? And this is the definition, what we understand. So, out-of-band for us means that we give you, Mr. End User, Mr. Customer, a secondary path to your network equipment to access your network equipment if your primary network is down. Yeah, if your core switch crashes, if some firmware update doesn't work, if you need to install some patches, etc., etc. So this is just a graph to show the general overview how out-of-band works in our view. You have the administrative side. You have either a remote side or just a rack in your data center. It doesn't matter. On this remote side, you have several network equipments installed, and the Opengear device is running in that remote network as well, just as a client, if you want to see it like this. As long as the network connection from the admin to the remote location is done through cable, through the regular primary network connection, everything is fine, and it basically just runs in the network as an insurance if you want. Yeah? But if something happens here and this connection fails for whatever reason, then the Opengear device can take over. It can, for example, start up a cellular modem which is installed in the device, and the administrator can access the remote network through the Opengear device through cellular, LTE, 4G, and then work his way towards the network devices and try to figure out what went wrong, why is the network not running, and how can I fix it. The advantage is that imagine you have hundreds of those locations all over the country or over the continent, it doesn't matter. And in one of those locations you have a network outage. You need to, without a solution like this, you need to send somebody on site to check what's going on, because you don't have this access over the primary network connection anymore. And this can get very expensive. Yeah, if you need to put a network engineer on an airplane to fly to some location just to reboot a central switch, that doesn't make sense. So that's why a solution like this, typically if you have a network outage, pays for itself if you can save 1 or 2 trips from engineers to some remote locations already. Make sense? I take this as a yes. Okay, just a quick overview, and as I said, or as we say, there are many more, but these are just a few vendors which we support. In general, we support any network vendor who's out there with any network equipment. We don't really care, but some of you guys will definitely have some of those in your network, and just be ensured that we support those. Out of band is nothing new. There are solutions out there. So as I showed you, Opengear is 20 years old now. There are other companies who are doing this as well. So this out-of-band access, meaning accessing a network device through the serial management port on this device, through a network cable connected to our console server. This is nothing new, and it's out there for many years. And this is how it all started with the number 3 here, which is accessing devices on the worst day. Worst day meaning something happens to your network, you don't know what's going on, and you have a console server installed, and through the console server you can still access your network equipment. That's the emergency tool which out-of-band gives you. Over the years we thought about this, and as I said, we listened to our customers and said, look, what other value can a solution like this bring? And there are quite a few, and our customers basically talked to us about this, and that's how we came up with these other two. Number one, if you want to do a deployment, for example, you want to open a new branch office where there's no network infrastructure yet. So in the ideal world, what you do is you send the network equipment there, have somebody on site who may be able just to plug in a USB thumb drive into the Opengear device, upload some configuration, reboot the devices a little bit, and then magic happens, and after 15 minutes, all the network equipment is showing up and being configured by itself, without a network engineer actually being on site. So that's one additional advantage of a solution like this. And the second one probably makes even more sense, or is even more important, and that's the day-to-day managing of your network equipment. Right? I guess almost every customer has a mixed environment. Some have Juniper, some have Cisco, some have Fortinet, some have Arista, and most probably a big mix of that. So wouldn't it be nice to have a tool which allows you, if one of those vendors, or if Opengear releases a new firmware, for example, for its devices, to be able to deploy this from a central point of view, or a central point of management, to all these devices individually, without being forced to connect to each and every network device one on one, and do this all in a very, very long and disturbing process. Just click a few buttons and be able to deploy in a batch deployment configuration files, firmware files, or whatever on a day-to-day base. And a solution like this allows this as well. So you not only have this worst day help if something breaks, you have the first day help if you want to deploy new hardware in a remote location, and you have the everyday helping you managing your network devices and your Opengear devices remotely from one single point of contact. So how do we do this? Obviously, we need some hardware for this, which is on the bottom. These are our console servers, starting from a small footprint for small locations up to 19-inch rack mount devices with a higher density of ports. And they come in all kinds of varieties, and we'll go a little bit in this as well. And on top of that, you have Lighthouse, which is our management portal. It's a VM, and Klaus will talk about this in more detail, what it does. And the important thing is, if you install an out-of-band solution in your network, doesn't matter from which vendor it is, it always opens a backdoor into your network, right? Because somehow you need to connect to this device to get access to your network. And there's nothing more important than security in that sense. So how we do it, our devices, they open up an open VPN connection from the device to Lighthouse, and all this connection then later on between the network devices, the Opengear device, and Lighthouse is going through this OpenVPN tunnel. So nobody has any chance to access this from the outside. And it doesn't matter if this is through cable connection or if it's through the cellular connection. We still use the one VPN tunnel each device opens up. And if there are questions on that, Klaus can talk about this later. So this is the portfolio from the hardware. Pretty straightforward. We have two families for the 19-inch devices. A very, let's say, basic one on the left side, the CM8100, and a more sophisticated one with more options, the OM2200. We'll go into a little bit details as well. And then if you don't need all these many ports, but only need a handful or 4 or 5, then we can use the same functionality as in the big ones, just in a smaller footprint with the smaller devices. We have the ACM family still here because we still sell it, but it's really not recommended for new designs because we will end of sale this at some point, but you know, we still sell it, so it has to be there. So on the basic line, as I said, the CM8100, only serial ports from 16 to 96. No cellular, no fiber in most of the devices. Really just 2 network ports and a bunch of serial ports. If that's enough for you, if you don't need all the fancy other stuff, that's the product to go. If you want more, if you want cellular, if you want fiber, if you want more memory in the devices, etc., the OM family comes into play, either the OM 2200 for the 19-inch or the 1200 for the smaller footprint. What they all have, we spoke about security, they all have this built-in TPM chip, which is basically an encryption of the bootstrap and the firmware configuration of the device. So just imagine you configure this device in your office and then you send it via DHL or UPS or whoever to a remote location, and somebody grabs the package and wants to hack into the device because he wants to gain access to your network. As soon as they try to change something on the device, it will basically block the entire work and it won't work anymore. So this way we secure that nobody unauthorized is able to hack into the device and change something, so he basically opens a backdoor for him or her into your network. There are many more technical features, of course, but you know, we only have half an hour. So if you want to use a cellular device, you can obviously use any cellular provider you have, Vodafone, T-Mobile, O2, you name them, right? But if you have a customer who wants to have everything out of one hand, we also have a program, we also sell cellular services. So you get the box on the one hand, you get the hardware, the SIM card on the other hand, plug it in. We have different data plans depending on the capacity per month of data you want to use, and it's just an option. It's not a must, but we offer it as we have it in the portfolio anyway. All our devices come with 4 years of warranty standard, which can be extended to 8 years. You can buy a 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th year. So, you know, even most of the companies write off this stuff after 4 or 5 years. If you want to have absolute guarantee that if the unit breaks after 8 years or in 7.5 years, we will just replace the unit. We don't repair them, you get a brand new unit. Yeah. Some customers want that, some don't. It's an option you can choose. If you don't want it, 4 years of warranty is fine. We release a firmware typically once a quarter, a new firmware for the hardware. So 4 firmware files per year, plus security patches, etc. And that's also a big differentiator from us to some others who are out there who may release a new firmware every, I don't know, 18 months or so. We are much more on this topic, and you can just download it for free from the website, install it on your equipment, and off you go. Okay, I hand it over to Klaus, who is going to talk about the management software, and then at the very end, you will have the pleasure to listen to me again.
I've only just a few minutes here. Lighthouse is a central management, what we provide to the system. Thank you. The appliances, of course, work independently. They have a web UI, they have an SSH client. You can reach them if you like. But we have a big bunch of developers who try to make your work, what you have with the system, make them more nicer, easier, smoother, and therefore they want to take many headache out of away from you, just to help you in your daily work to make it a little bit bigger, faster. Deploy Lighthouse itself. It is every appliances get connected then to Lighthouse over a VPN. That makes it more secure. Then the whole management, as an SE, if I have an appliance from us in Lighthouse, I can do anything with the appliance as an administrator. I can roll out scripts, I can manage them, I can influence them, whatever I want. All what I need is just bring it into Lighthouse, and I will have access over cellular as well. So I'm not limited to the cable connection. I can use cellular as well. So if something breaks on the way, I will have access to the whole system. I have not so much time, so I will just jump to the thing. What is Lighthouse? Lighthouse itself is a virtual machine. We have different possibilities for installing, which VM should be hosted here. We have VMware, VirtualBox, Hyper-V, and if you want to work out of the cloud, you will have the possibility for AWS and Azure as well. Lighthouse is available in two different licenses. One is the enterprise license. Enterprise merely do everything without the additional IP feature, which I come a little bit later. Everything else is supported from the enterprise license. And Lighthouse is a subscription. You remember the appliance itself has a 4-year warranty. There are no hidden costs. Everything is fine. You can download the firmware. Everything is available for nothing, I would say. And Lighthouse is just a subscription-based system for 1 or 3 years. And the counter is how many appliances do we have in Lighthouse, or Opengear appliances in Lighthouse. So we have subscription packs from at least up to 5,000. 5,000 is a limitation. Why? We have tested 5,000 units in real life. So we know everything works well. The rest is guessing. It will not stop. It's not a hard stop in this case. Maybe you can add 5,001 if you like, but 5,000 is really tested and from our development, and it works very well. So that's the thing. Here's additional some informations. So my time runs away. Lighthouse itself has a multi-instance capability. At least you can install 11 Lighthouse versions. Lighthouse is then, if you use the additional instances, replicate by themselves. The VPN connection from the appliance to Lighthouse will create it by themselves, so there is no influence needed. And the software updates, Lighthouse will get software updates like the hardware. So 4 times a year around, and with all the service updates, you just have to install the update on one Lighthouse instance, and it will roll out automatically to all other instances. So it makes your life a little bit easier. That's the enterprise system itself has really nearly everything what I just was saying. And then I will go a little bit deeper in the additional features, because serial console access is not really a big secret. But what we have new here, for example, is the SMF. It's a smart management fabric. Now, if there is an infrastructure from Opengear, and console infrastructure, now you can use a routing capability as well, which is then now included in this feature, in this Lighthouse Automation Edition feature. And I want to talk a little bit here about this new thing. And can you imagine you have this infrastructure, everything works well for you, and now you can route networks, subnets as well through our infrastructure. That means all what you need is the Lighthouse version. That Lighthouse is installed. You know the appliances now are integrated in Lighthouse via a VPN, so this is secure. And now Lighthouse can create WireGuard tunnels across the appliances itself. And we can share now the different subnet versions here in the system. That means was a real live test. Just before Cisco Live, I have my own lab, my British colleague has an own lab, and typically without any big interference, we were not able to just bring our networks together because we have all our home networks. And this system gave us the possibility just share our networks. And what we have done, we have installed this here and just told the appliances that they should be part of the game. So we shared our network ports, the hardware ports, and now was able, cost us 10 minutes, just access his FortiGate just across our system. And from his FortiGate, also back to our system. And that means this was a user to the machine, at least, an access. And can you imagine now, the guy just before me here, he has used the ZTP feature. You can use ZTP across the whole system as well. Just install a new appliance, the new appliance comes back from factory default, is asking then for a DHCP address, go over the system here in the subnet. Here's the ZTP server, and they can at least install this through our system. And as my colleague was saying, Dirk, this is supported by cellular modem as well. And this is really cool in this case. Now you can install automation tools on one end and roll them out to all other network subnets, if you like. Yeah, and that makes it secure because you have a point-to-point tunnel between all the ports. And yeah, at least here we have tested this out, so with 5,000 targets. And so we are able to have 5,000 simulated 5,000 ports open to the targets as well. So this is very important for this. Yeah, you do not run in any bottlenecks or something like this. So yeah, it's 2 o'clock. This was very quick. If you have any questions, we are on the table, at our table here. And I can explain this a little bit deeper, the whole system, if you like. Just come downstairs and then we can talk about it, yeah? Thank you. Oh, no, Dirk. No. Oh, Dirk will say something. Here we are.
Yeah, so I will finish this up very soon, or very fast. So you see, we are very technically driven, but we also want to try to keep our partners and customers up to date and give them the opportunity to train and learn about our stuff as much as possible. So what we created is a training program, which is on our partner portal, which is accessible not for end users right now, only for system integrators and resellers and stuff. If you go to the Opengear website, you can apply for an access. It's for free, and then you can take these training modules on the Opengear hard and software, and get basically afterwards, if you succeed, you get a certificate which you can hang on your wall if you want. And we also have a lot of YouTube training videos which were done by Klaus and his technical colleagues, which are just 3-4 minutes long, so you don't get bored when you watch them. But they explain a lot about the features and functions and how to do something with the Opengear appliances and the software. So just look out for Opengear on YouTube, and you will find a lot of training material there as well. And last but not least, this is my favorite slide. So if you talk about out-of-band management, we are not alone in the market. And there are other people who claim, oh, they are the biggest and greatest and have the beautiful, most beautiful solution as well. Please do me a favor and look between, or read between the lines, or look behind the scenes what the offering really is, and compare apples with apples. We are not the cheapest solution out there. We are not the most expensive. We are somewhere in the middle. But I can promise you, in terms of the feature set and the robustness of the system, and the support you get from Klaus, from me, from other colleagues, from our support team, we are one of the best vendors to work with when it comes to out-of-band in the market. And I'm standing here and promising this to you because I'm working with Opengear now for 7 years, and it's been a great journey, and hopefully it will continue for a long, long time. But yeah, so just wanted to bring this up at the very end. And this is it. If there are questions, raise them now, or as Klaus said, come to the table. We are there until the end of the show. If there are no questions right now, thank you very much for your attention.